always keep your title. Okay? When you're sheriff, you keep that title for life.
It just might have been Arpaio's last stand. At 88 years old, former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio failed in his attempt to regain the job he once held for 24 years.
I worked hard in this campaign. I was on the streets, meeting a lot of people, and I felt pretty good.
Arpaio's former chief deputy, Jerry Sheridan, handed Arpaio his third consecutive election loss in a row by beating him in the Republican primary for sheriff.
Put that right on the table. I ran on my record. People wanted me to run. I did it.
We are so distraught and thinking that we'd have to close this staple in our community that brings so many families together, that helps children develop in so many ways.
Emily Watson is director of Crossroads Preschool in Central Phoenix.
But the school has been around for 57 years, and we really pride ourselves in creating these great beginnings for these children.
But now the pandemic has put that legacy at risk. Crossroads shut down in March.
I'm in an empty classroom right now, as you can see.
The coronavirus pandemic hitting childcare centers hard.
We have lost about 70% of our business.
Martha Pychow owns Whiz Kids with 3 Valley locations. And while it hasn't been easy, they've remained committed to staying open during the pandemic.
Families need to go to work, and we're seeing it more and more where even our families that are working from home, you know, they can only do so much, right?
When Arizona's childcare works, Arizona works.
Special education teacher Kelly Darger is passionate about her job.
I love what I do. I don't know any teacher in special education who doesn't love what they do.
She misses her students.
We dearly want to be back with our kids.
But the teacher's future is uncertain. Darger says if she's asked to return to the classroom, Mesa Public Schools isn't giving her many options.
You go back into your classroom or you resign. You can resign. And that's kind of it.
And to see the surge here in Arizona across the state having very high numbers.
State Superintendent Kathy Hoffman says state and local leaders have a lot to consider before bringing students back to school.
As of now, it is definitely not safe to open school, which is why we have delayed in-person instruction through at least August 17th, and we're continuing to evaluate that date as well.
But online learning presents a whole different set of problems for students across the state.
It's a smaller operation this year, but the message remains the same.
That they can do as good or as well as everyone else is doing, if not better, because it's an incentive for them. It's life-changing.
For more than 50 years, the back-to-school clothing drive has helped hundreds of thousands of Arizona kids with things most of us take for granted. New shoes, shirts, and school supplies. All items that give kids confidence as they learn. Today, volunteers
There was no time to think. The man in the red shirt saw 3-year-old Jameson falling from the balcony and dove in for the catch.
I just had tunnel vision on the baby, and he was twirling as he was coming down, and I was just fortunate enough to catch him.
Philip Blanks was at a friend's apartment when he heard the commotion outside as a third-floor apartment unit went up in flames. He ran outside barefoot to see how he could help, ending up with a toddler in his arms just moments later.
Well, yeah, we were all there for one reason, to go to war.
75 years ago, Air Force veteran Gene Graham was in the middle of World War II. A photo reconnaissance pilot by trade, the 94-year-old vet spent most of the time in the Pacific, joining the military just before he graduated high school after Japanese forces bombed Pearl Harbor.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.